My name's Al LaFay from Aberdeen. Thank you very much for being here today. This question is not aimed at or directed to any one particular legislator, but I'm curious if you have any thoughts on 2 years in a row no salary policy for state employees in South Dakota, specifically for those in the higher education area. We're really working hard to attract and retain high-quality faculty. Would anybody be interested in addressing that question? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alan, for the question. And I first want to start off with, I mean, we talked about the collective bargaining issue. That wasn't coming from university administration nor the executive branch or anyone else in state government. It's really, it must be some idea that, and I don't discredit any legislators, we all have our way to work on bills, but it's a particular group of legislators that just don't like the idea that employees can collectively bargain, and of course, in this case, state workers. So that's obviously one place. I mean, I hope that doesn't pass. I'm strongly opposed to removing those rights for state employees, in this case, board regents, to collectively bargain. But that would look very bad. But then also we hear it all the time where it's very tough to hold on to our talent that we have here in South Dakota. So I think as we go forward in the next few weeks, when the revenue numbers come out, if there is a modest amount of optimism, all I hear from my fellow lawmakers, and especially my friends that are on the Republican side, I'm a lone Democrat up here, but is a strong interest to take care of state employees, certainly make sure we meet our needs in education and the community support providers. And so those three areas are front and center for us. I don't hear anything else that is competing with those interests. And so, you know, I just got a letter this last evening when I got back home, you know, from a state employee who lives 20 miles from me, and I didn't know she worked for the state, and that's great, you know, and it's just, it's continually hurts the morale that's out there. I'm not saying this as an excuse, but I will reassure everyone that our state retirement system is very strong yet. I serve on the Retirement Laws Committee, and everything that is coming through there is solid. I'm not using that as an excuse, but I just want to share that. So please don't be afraid to step up and share why it's important we take care of our state employees. And I know that I don't think there'll be disagreement up here also. We can't forget about those folks that are on the front lines, obviously, in the community support area also. So if something's going to be done for state employees, I think we'll see it transcend to those other areas. But I definitely hear you.
Thank you very much for the question. We've battled this issue, you know, for years, where we want to retain all of our teachers. You know, we've got many, many good teachers in our state, and we don't want to lose them. We also understand that every state in the union is struggling for teachers. It's not just South Dakota, and it's not based on pay. It's just based on maybe preference of where they want to go and what they want to do. So, I mean, we're well aware of this, and I just want to add in here that we're losing the people. If you look across the board, we're losing the people in the caring professions. I see a teacher or an instructor, no matter what level is it, as a caring person. But you see nurses and CSPs as caring people too, and it just seems to me that there's a lot of people that just don't care anymore. They want to get into other professions. I hate to say it that way. But it seems like, you know, we need to turn this around. We need to keep what we have, and we need to promote that it's okay to be a caring person, and it's okay to lead the pack and to share. And you know, I just don't know where it's going to go. I really don't. It is a matter of concern. So I just wanted to add that in there, that it's not just teachers that we're losing. We're losing the nurses and doctors and so on and so forth. And a lot of it's because we're shorthanded and people have to step up and plate and cover for other people. So, you know, we'll try to see if we can get any money available, free any money up. But we won't know until the end, and I know that sounds funny, but all the people have not testified yet. and presented their, what I call their Christmas wish list yet, so we'll see what the needs are, or the wants. The needs and the wants are two different things. Thank you.
Dr. LeVay, thank you for your question, and thank you for your service here at Northern for a lot of years, and Art and Dr. Peterson as well, and anybody else who I'm overlooking. This was home for me for 5 years. I stretched a 3.5-year program into 5, so because I loved it so much. Anyway. You're right. We do need to do what we can in order to invest in education. And as I've said before, we have those priority areas. And I would consider, I hate to sound like a broken record, but community-based service providers, education, and state employees, we need to consider those folks' needs, and we need to do what we can in order to compete. South Dakota has engaged in a few creative programs over the years, and has helped to sweeten the pot, but we have also, fallen short, I guess, in so many ways, and we realize that money talks. We have a wonderful way of life, probably second to none, but when somebody's considering a job that might pay, I don't know, $75,000 as opposed to one that might pay $110,000, that $110 is going to look pretty attractive. For me, anything, 75 looks pretty attractive, but I do want to acknowledge that what you say is true, and we are competing, frankly, with other states, but we're in a world market relative to education. People may be looking at jobs in other countries too. So we do need to do our level best to compete. It's certainly a different world when a person's talking about the direct care staffers that Jason mentioned and professors and whatnot, but we recognize the very competitive world that we are all living in, and want to do our best to ensure that all South Dakotans get the best shape possible and the best lot in life. I wanted to speak very briefly to Dr. Kaiser's question. I was on the committee that put down Senate Bill 109, and I really did. I thanked the people for coming, and I thanked them for sharing their thoughts and their voices throughout the process, because that is so important. I do want to say, last week I predicted that bill's death, and it was very efficient. I would guess that the collective bargaining issues will go away fairly quickly as well. All these issues are fair subjects for debate. We live in a vast arena of ideas out there in here, and we will hear from any number of people relative to their thoughts about how the world should be, and bills that they'd like to see us introduce and pass, and bills that they'd like to see us kill. And as Dan mentioned earlier, your input is so important in that process. We hear a 10-second or 20-second pitch about something, and we may say, yeah, I'll sign on. It sounds like a fair debate to have. And over time, we find out that the debate has been had, and that side of the argument has failed to make their case. So, just wanted to acknowledge the process, and we did kill a couple of other bills that sought to deregulate certain industries. We just found that it wasn't worth the I guess, the time at this point. So thank you.